this year. I is Vibance.
Great. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Hero Highlight, where we're going to talk about our D&D characters, campaigns, and their worlds. I am Void,
I'm Chloe.
and we're going to be doing our first and favorites for this episode. So we're going to be mainly focused on the characters today, and we're going to start off with just a little bit of history on us with D&D. So, Chloe.
So I've been playing D&D for about 4 years, mainly a player, but I've been dabbling into being a DM. I just finished my big campaign recently, transferring it actually over to Void.
Woo!
um,
What about your D&D 101? Just kind of sum that up for me.
oh yeah, so I'm currently teaching a class called D&D 101 where you get to build your own character from the ground up and just learn how to do so without all the handy dandy gadgets of D&D Beyond.
It's kind of like if you took the player's book and boiled it down, right?
Yeah, I literally went through the player's book. It's like, this is important information. Shove.
Yeah, just kind of the first steps, because it is a bit overwhelming to start with D&D. So I think that's good, because you're starting a lot of people on their first campaigns.
Yeah, the end goal of it is to connect new players with new DMs and get just more people playing D&D, because while it has become more mainstream, it could still be more mainstream if you ask me.
Yeah, it still is very niche. Like, there's definitely the D&D groups, but in general, I think a lot of people have wanted to play it, but haven't been able to, because there's a big learning curve to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you get that book, one, it's expensive, and then two, it's just daunting to have to read through this whole thing. You don't need to read through it, but, you know.
I've definitely learned that I am a book. I'm not a book nerd, but I like to get all like the cool D&D new manuals and like all the extensions from just a whole bunch of other people as well as Wizards of the West Coast.
You do a lot of Kickstarters, right?
Yeah, I actually got one coming, One Shot Wonders. It'll be like 100 plus one shots.
Shit, that'll
Yeah.
be good. So for me, I started back in community college. Basically, I've always been the nerd, but my high school didn't have any groups. So in community college, I got hooked up with all of the Magic the Gathering people, and they happened to have a D&D group that was starting. So I was able to join that, and then I've just been doing that for the past, I'm going to say 6-7 years. Been mainly doing player-based stuff because I love character creation, but I have done a couple kind of one-shot smaller campaigns, and then Chloe's campaign is getting flipped over to me, and then that'll be my first major campaign that'll be long-term. So with our first and favorite, my first character is the one I started with in community college, and that's going to be my boy Gorasator. It was just one name because he just basically forgot his name. He's kind of dumb. Like, he's big, strong himbo energy. So this was a feral human necromancer. And his backstory was someone stole him, had him in basically an underground prison.
I think that's just called kidnapping.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if he was a kid when it happened, or if he doesn't know.
I think it's still called kidnapping either way.
Okay, so he was a human necromancer that got kidnapped. And then he was kind of imprisoned. While he was imprisoned, his brain broke, and he is basically, he gets a god complex that way. I don't know how, but basically he has Messiah complex. So he escapes. They let him out because he's kind of,
Stupid?
yeah, he's dumb, and he's like, I'm a god. Just wait till I get my powers back.
Good.
Because he's a level 1. He cannot do anything. He can't even necromance yet. But he knows he's supposed to be able to. So he got out. He got himself clothing and a skeleton from a local cemetery. And he kept it in a bag. Like, his backpack is 90% skeleton. So that way, when he gets his powers back, he can just animate that skeleton and he never has to worry about, am I near a dead body?
Okay, that's actually really smart. It reminds me of a character. But that's another episode.
His inspiration was Faust from Shaman King. If that dates me at all, it dates me. Trust me.
Probably.
Think Frankenstein with dead wife as a skeleton inside of his coat, so he's always kind of hugging her. It's weird.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, he dissects a bitch in a graveyard, like actively, hand inside of his rib. It's awful. So Gore was based off of Faust.
Okay.
So if you know that character, you know how unhinged this is. Like, this is feral and unhinged.
Good.
So I basically wanted a chaos character, and he was. He was. So he's dumb. His intelligence is his dump stat. He has wisdom, but he's convinced that his powers have been taken from him. But if he does right things, he'll get his power back. So, like, as he levels up, he'll be like, this is why.
What alignment is he?
I want to say chaotic neutral. Like, he was, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
He wasn't a bad guy, mostly because he was too stupid to do anything bad. So I think his mission in life was gain followers because he believed he was a god. As he gained followers, he'd get his powers back in order to show that he can perform miracles of raising the dead.
Mm-hmm.
So when he joined the adventuring party, of course they're leveling up because they're just going about things. But every encounter, he would have to try to animate his skeleton.
Aww.
So, he would roll initiative, and then he would drop everything, grab his backpack, and dump it on the floor, and then he'd be like, hang on, I need to try this. And everyone's like, we're being attacked. There is a bugbear touching us right now. Can you not? He'd be like, I got this. So he has a pile of bones. And we did have a bugbear as our first encounter.
Do the Eldritch...
Eldritch? Oh, yeah, Edward Elric, where you
yeah.
clap the hands and, yeah. Well, basically he tried that, and it didn't work, because he doesn't have those abilities. But he's like, I'm gonna raise the dead, and he'd be like, whoo, and then it wouldn't work. So we're fighting the bugbear, and then eventually he takes one of the bones, and he chucks it at the thing's face, and it bounces off, and it actually ends up scaring the thing off.
Aww.
So he was just like, I did that! I fucking did that! I commanded him! And then he had to go back and retrieve the bone because he wanted to make sure he had all the parts to his skeleton. I think he threw a femur, and he's like, I need that. Hang on. So he has to retrieve his bones as if they're arrows. So the way that his character ended, because he was fine, but he was just not... There was no backstory that made sense. There was nothing for the DM to grab onto. He was just kind of...
there.
Yeah, he was the comedic relief. So what we did is we're exploring a cave because there's a underground something going on. So we're in a cave, and then he is like, I need drugs.
Fuck.
I think they were feeding him drugs in the kidnapping. I don't know what it is, but basically he wanted to be high. So he was looking for any plant that might be poisonous in order to intoxicate himself.
Good.
Because he's like, I'm a god, you can't kill me. I might as well get high and enjoy myself. So he licked the wall.
Oh my god.
He licked the wall. There was some bad moss on there. He passes out. So the party ends up carrying him around for a little while, but I was still working on my character. So they somehow performed a spell to bring him back from unconsciousness, because he wasn't downed, but he was unconscious for sure.
Yeah.
And they knew it was because he was after drugs. So they brought him back to consciousness, but his body just wouldn't come back. Like, he was just limp potato.
It's fucking Wesley from Princess Bride.
I'll believe you.
The mostly dead.
Sure. He was mostly dead. So they bring him back, and he didn't turn into, but they put his consciousness into a 3-foot mushroom boy. Like, think of the Among Us dudes, but with a mushroom hat.
Good.
That was what this thing was. And Gore couldn't do anything, but he basically just animated that while I was making my new character.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a giant mushroom for a good 2 campaigns.
Oh my god.
Because I had made my character and I was also playing with them, but we just kept the mushroom as a pet. So that's what happened to Gore, and he was definitely a failed... He has potential as a trope character, not as a I'm going to play as this character.
I can just imagine right now, like, a little, like, 3-foot tall, like, mushroom monster, like, planning world domination, just screaming with his hands in the air.
I am a god! Yeah, so that's what happened to Gore. He lasted a couple sessions, and then we had a couple more of the mushroom. I didn't control the mushroom, but it was there, and every once in a while I'd be like, it's doing this.
It became an NPC.
Exactly. Because he was definitely more of an NPC. He's the crazy man in the forest type of thing, but he was just not fitting with the group dynamic.
Yeah.
We did have a true neutral monk that was played by a man who is basically a true neutral monk. So you put those two together and it just...
Chaos? In the worst way.
Yeah, but not in the good... Yeah, not in the, we're chaotic together. It was like a lot of awkward silence type of...
Ooh.
Where it would be like, I do something and my character just goes, no. Or his character would just go, no. And it'd be like, well, I'm doing it. He's like, no.
That reminds me of one of the toxic players we had in our group.
Yeah.
To be fair, I was also vaguely toxic DM. Like, no, you cannot do the fucking thing. No.
Yeah, that's something every DM has to overcome, is how much leniency do you give?
Don't kill the fucking horse.
Don't kill that thing.
To be fair, then they just killed the main character, so it's fine.
Okay, what was your first?
That's another episode.
And we'll do a toxic episode.
Oh, we didn't think about that before. It's a good idea.
Okay.
Sorry, squirrel.
Yep.
Okay, so my first character is actually my favorite character, so 2 in 1. Woohoo!
Woo!
So her name is Lida Tealeaf. I created her, she was, like I said, first character back in 2018. She's a halfling rogue, and she's tiny.
How tall?
3'2".
Right, good.
Yeah.
My mushroom would get along with her.
Good. My favorite thing is that when she was first created, she had a whole 8 hit points.
Oh god, yeah, you dump statted that one basically. Your constitution was your dump stat, right?
Probably. I have no clue anymore. I probably have it somewhere around here.
And this was our join campaign, so this is where I was a player in this campaign, so I remember this character quite well.
So my main character, she has bright blue eyes and pink hair. I always say that her however many great grandfather fucked a wizard, and
fucked a wizard. Yeah, Peapod unfucked a wizard again.
And that is why her hair changes color depending on how she's feeling. So if she's like petrified, because trauma.
Yeah, you make trauma characters.
I do. I like the trauma. I like the drama.
Good.
Or under the influence of a charm, her hair is an almost like platinum blonde. But otherwise, it's a variety of pink depending on how scared she is. So, like, if she's with the spider, I think that's the thing that ended up killing her mom and dad. Then her hair is like a light pink, whereas like normally it's like a hot pink.
Okay, so it gets lighter the more scared she is.
Yep.
If she's happy, does it get like fluorescent?
I didn't plan that, but it should.
Good.
I have a perfect fluorescent pink pen.
Perfect.
I'm like, I have very specific items. Like, we don't need to know that.
We have notes, believe it or not.
It's surprising. I do like some of the stuff that she owns. So she likes to keep the Bible of her God in her boot, and she will like pull it out and read randomly when all the other people are doing things. She's like, okay, I don't want to do anything. To be fair, that was also me just wanting to sit and knit.
Yeah, that was, I don't want to participate, but I'm here.
Yeah. It's like, I want to be with the peoples.
Yeah.
I am awkward Ariel. But then she has a secondary belt, and on her hip she has a tea caddy with a neon green cup and saucer.
Those are the, like, steampunky things you see at Ren Fair, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like leather tea caddy, and it's got like the teacup and the tongies with a tea infuser.
Okay, it's the whole I
9
want
yards.
tea setup. Got it.
Yeah.
But she's tiny, so is the cup tiny or is the cup normal sized?
I didn't think of that.
And
Probably tiny.
It's like a bowl for her, or is it like?
I think it'd be like halfling teacup.
Okay, so it's proportionate to her.
Yes.
Okay.
She wears a few pieces of jewelry around her ears, and then she wears her parents' wedding bands around on her fingers.
Cute.
I think one of my favorite hairstyles is the like mohawk braid with the like tiny braids along the sides.
Oh, it's like Viking braids or something like that. Yeah, gotcha.
Exactly. So she does that with her neon pink hair.
Dope.
Yeah. A lot of information. Shush. So yeah, she saw her parents killed by spiders when she was young, so she doesn't like spider or spider people.
Cool. Driders. Got it.
What?
Driders.
Okay. Sure.
It's a centaur, but with spider ass.
Oh, is that what
Yeah, that's what Ruby is.
Okay, cool.
We'll talk about her another episode, but I have a Drider character. She's also one of my fails. Yeah, Ruby is a remake of one of my fails from the same campaign group. Cool. We had a lot of trouble with dynamic in that group. No, like, we all got along as people. Our characters were awful together.
Good. So yeah, and then she was raised by her older brother until he was murdered by a dragon while she was hiding in the closet.
Good.
The house caught on fire.
From the dragon?
Yes.
Okay. I was like...
So she just has like a ton of burns now. And she reacts similarly to spiders as she does dragons.
Okay, so no dragonborns, no driders. She would not survive in my campaign.
No.
Okay, good.
So she was found and raised by human rogues, the Avengers of Darkness. And after she almost died from an infection, yay! They basically used her as like a servant to just do all like the house cleaning shit.
Okay.
But they decided like they didn't want to like leave a person behind to babysit her while they went and got drunk. So they started training her, and like her big thing was that there was this one guy who oh shoot, I mixed that up. So she becomes traumatized by the cold because she was forced to stay out in the cold until she did her first kill.
So if she's this fucking, is she just like agoraphobic at this point?
What is that?
Like afraid to go outside at all?
No. She's just like, well, like, I don't know. It's mainly like she doesn't like the cold, so she doesn't do well in cold climates. But then she also doesn't like spiders and dragons.
Yeah, so like, but she's also had her house fucking burned down. She's been enslaved. She's covered in burns and probably a little, like, limited in that way.
Trauma.
Keep in mind, she just did the SpongeBob imagination hands with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it sounds like she would just be terrified of, like, is she an adventurer?
Yeah.
So what happens when she's just like, okay, you have to fight a spider. Does she just nope out of there?
No, she's a rogue, so she probably stays her distance and like bows and arrows it.
Okay, but like if it came up to her, she would probably piss herself, right?
Yeah, her hair would go like blonde, just like fuck.
Okay, got it.
Luckily, we didn't run into any of those with her.
Yeah, no, that was I the DM? No, I wasn't the DM.
Yeah.
Was I?
Yeah, she was like the main character for like a year.
Because I would have thrown some shit at you.
I think it was mainly
the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was there though for at least one of them.
Okay.
So yeah, but she was like, there was a guy who allowed her to warm up and eat. But he does like a real talk with her, like the coach pep talks, like, hey, you gotta cut this shit out. Do the thing. Get out of here.
Cool.
So yeah, so then when she's 21, she decides to venture out into the world. She met at a tavern where she met her first party, and she did flips with a character named Minnie.
Oh yeah.
Right?
So they met up and they were both very short. Minnie was I'm just gonna say one of my characters that I didn't play very much, but they're both very small because she was a gnome, and they would meet, and she was like, "I like you. You're small," and they got on the table, and Minnie did a flip just to be like, "Look what I can do," and then so did
Lida.
Lida, because I was gonna call her Daenerys.
Wrong character.
Wrong one. Got it.
Another episode.
Yep.
So during that first campaign, they participated in a weird festival where she tried all the samples without checking what they were first, and ended up getting stoned and passing the fuck out before being carried home by another party member.
Yep.
They participated in a contest. She almost died from being bitten by a puppy twice. That's where the whole 8 HP comes in at, because I think the puppy did like 4 or 5 damage.
It rolled really well on bite.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like you see they're carrying this puppy in their arms, like it's huge.
Well, because she's like half size.
Yeah. And then we did a weird Halloween episode once, and she ended up getting kidnapped by a human Smaug before getting saved by the party and meeting her now boyfriend Bilbo Buggins.
And that is exactly what you think it is.
Yeah. I know for my one campaign that I did, there were rumors that she was kidnapped and turned evil for a while, going against people that she had previously met. That is kind of... We never went into, like, deep backstory of, like, how she knows Lori, but that's how that was, like, the big connection. It was like, she knows Lori. Well, she knows Lori anyway.
They joined a campaign, but...
Yeah.
Were we talking, like, back story? Like, they met before the campaign?
Yes. Or, I suppose they...
I don't know.
I forgot that. I forgot that they knew each other.
I don't know what you're hinting at. I'm confused.
Okay, do you remember my summer campaign? Back when I was in home?
Yeah, we did the online stuff for a bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was supposed to be that they knew Lida, that's why,
Wasn't it 2 parties cross paths?
I think so. That was probably like the backstory that we came up with.
Okay.
But it was supposed to be like, hey, your party's all together, and like, oh, this person that you happen to know, their boyfriend comes to you and is like, hey, my girlfriend's been spelled. Can you help me get her back? That was like the big call to action in my campaign.
Oh, yeah. Okay, got it.
I also forgot there was spooning. That sounds wrong. That's not what you think it is.
Do you want me to just jump into Lori and explain this a bit? What do you got?
Oh yeah, my last like little sentence. One of those things where you never know who you'll meet at a tavern.
Yeah, because she goes from doing backflips with Minnie, which was a brief character I had, to
getting beat by Lori.
Yeah, so
playfully beat.
Yeah, playfully beat by Lori. So this goes into my favorite character, which is from this exact campaign. And it is Lori. So his full name is Alora, but he shortened it down just because, So he's a centaur fighter that uses a lance, but more often than not, he just stomps on people because he can.
He's fucking huge.
Yeah, so when I was designing the centaur, I saw that they're like a normal size of like 6 feet tall. And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me because, like, I've been around horses. They are much taller than me, let alone you gotta add a person on top of that.
Or half a person.
Half a person on top of that. So I ended up making him 12 feet tall, and he's a large creature. So that way the other medium creatures in our party could actually ride on him without him being encumbered. Because if you have a medium character carrying a medium, it doesn't work. Mm-mm. So I wanted to have a large character to carry the mediums, or 2 smalls like the gnomes and the halflings and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So Lori is an asshole.
That's putting it lightly.
But like a fun asshole. So I wouldn't even say he's good aligned. He's the I take care of myself and that's it type, but he plays nice with other people. So he joins into the group because he just kind of wanders around. He's looking for ancient treasures because he very much likes historical places, historical items. So whenever there's rumor of an old item that's lost, he's kind of like Indiana Jones in that way. Of like, I just want to find relics. So
I'm just picturing Lori in like the Indiana Jones hat, the whip on his side, and, like he's also got a fucking long ass butt.
He's got a long ass butt. Yeah, so he's looking around for these relics, and he joins up with the party with mention of a relic being nearby, and he's just like, well, I'm awful at climbing and stuff, so let me make friends in order to make this easier on myself. So he joins the group with Lita and then a few others, and they kind of become connected just because Lita's the dwarf? Halfling? Halfling. So he's more often than not riding on him. So one of my favorite stories that we still tell to this day with Lori is we kind of have a snobby character. One of our other players was not the best, but we have kind of a snobby character. And at some point, Lori is trying to make a deal with a merchant, and he's like, I will sell you that character's V card. Because I think they're a paladin or something. But he's like, I will enter a contractual agreement that this person will be able to take that person's V card. So they wrote out a document of that character's V card.
Yep.
And, like, they signed it over. I don't know how this was allowed.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
But the snobby...
It was them doing it, so it's like, it makes sense, vaguely.
Like, Lori came up with it, but then the snobby character was just fine with it. Like,
they were drunk all the time, though.
Yeah, like, I don't know what happened, but it was allowed.
Yeah, it was weird.
None of it made sense, but he sold the V card, but then it got stolen back, and then we played hot potato with it for a while.
We did.
And that's where spooning comes from. So it's not spooning as in, like, the cuddling. It's spooning as, like, I'm gonna smack your hand with a spoon, like a wooden ruler, smack on the wrist, but he has a wooden spoon, like, for cooking. So whenever a character was trying to reach into his saddlebags, he couldn't reach his saddlebags. He had, like, a fanny pack he could reach. But the V card got passed around so much, it ended up in his saddlebags where he couldn't reach. So then Lita's riding on him and could easily access these things. So he started carrying the spoon with him to just smack her whenever she would reach to try to get this V card back. And I don't know why Lita wanted it, but Lita wanted the V card.
Lita was chaotic good, so she was trying to get it to give it back.
Okay, so there you go. So Lori was just like, I earned that, and he would just be like, smack. So then anytime anyone was going to go against what Lori wanted to do, he'd be like, I'm going to give you a spooning. I'm going to spoon ya. And that made it so much worse because he's 12 feet tall, entirely horse-bottomed, and then he's just... And keep in mind, he's an older character. He's like 50. He is the group dad. He's not like this hot stallion. He's like an old, decrepit, I'm tired, don't fuck with me.
He's fat.
He chubby. He chubby.
He's not chubby,
He's horse chubby.
He's appropriate.
He's appropriate horse chubby. But yeah, so it became a running joke in this campaign that, like, I'm gonna give you a spoon, and the D&D claimed that they were going to get a wooden spoon and write Lori's name into the handle, and, like, something into it to make it a memorabilia piece, and it just never happened.
I think it was something like we always thought about doing, we just never did it, because, you know, college students.
Yeah, no, we just didn't have any follow-through. So Lori...
We should still do that.
We should do that, because I still play as Lori. He's just become my go-to character when I'm playing, and I just need a quick build or something, because he's already made. Mm-hmm. Or he becomes an NPC, so, like, in my upcoming one, he's basically NPC military guy, but he's on your side. So he's on your side because he's military, but he hates authority. So he's kind of an asshole about it. So he'll do some shady shit for you, but you have to give him something of value. So he kind of becomes this fun kind of anti-hero character whenever I need one. Plus, it's just, hey, we need a horse. Fuck it, Lori's here. So, yeah.
Eventually he gets a boyfriend.
Eventually he gets Tiefling boyfriend, and they're cowboys together, and he eventually adopts another centaur that is the sleepiest of boys. So,
good.
Lori's boyfriend is Miller, and they adopt a child, and I've named him Eli.
And everything after that is in another episode.
Yes, and then that turns into a whole other thing. But our first and favorites, I have Gore as my first, and he was just a way too much type of character. It was just hard to keep up that energy for the whole campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite was this character that has lived on. Like, it was part of our joint campaign, and that's how we met. So it's a good memory, and that's also just, he's fun, and he's toned down, he's bribable, he's corruptible, he's just fun.
Mm-hmm. And my first and favorite was Lida, who's tiny spitball, willing to do whatever it takes to save whoever it takes.
Because trauma.
Because trauma.
So with that, we're going to end this episode here. I hope you like these characters, and I would love to hear about your guys' characters in the comments. So feel free to leave that down. I'll be reading all of them.
Thank you for listening.
Oh, woo! We'll have a new episode out soon. Have a good day, guys. See ya.